Heute sprechen wir über Wortstellung. We're going to talk about word order. And before we talk about word order, we're going to review a little bit about when we have word order with statements and questions. When we have a statement like, Ich heiße Frau Miller, or Ich wohne in York, we learn that we have the subject first and then the verb, right? However, when we have a question, we use something called inverted word order, where we put the verb first and then the subject. Some examples would be, Wie heißt du, right? Or wohnst du in York, okay? We use inverted word order with questions. Now we're going to use that knowledge about inverted word order, and we're going to apply that to when we have sentences with a time element, okay? So again, when we have a sentence with a time element, that's just like a fancy word for telling me when something happens. When we talk about what is a time element, it's a word or phrase that tells you when something happens, as I just said. All right, some examples would be the word today. Do you know how to say today in German? It's heute, right? Or maybe the word for tomorrow, which is morgen. Gleich. Gleich means it's happening like right away, right now, right? Any day of the week, right? And you want to say like on Monday, Montag, or Dienstag, or Freitag, right? Or any time situation. We know how to say time expressions now. So if I wanted to say at 7:30, I would say halb acht, right? Those would also be considered time elements. Okay, so when we have a time element in a sentence, our word order is going to change. And now here are the notes on that. Here we go. There are two models that you can use. For example, the first one goes like this. Meine Mutter spielt am Montag Tennis. Now, if I was going to translate that word for word, it would be my mother plays on Monday tennis, which sounds awkward, right? Because we have a different word order rules in English. So let's look at the rules in German. The first thing that we have here is meine Mutter, and she is playing. Therefore, if whatever's verbing is the subject, we started with the subject, and we can start with the subject in English too. My mother plays. However, the time element does not come third in English. So I still have the subject verb combination, but this on Monday here is what makes it awkward. In English, we tend to put it at the end of the sentence. In German, it doesn't go at the end. Time is really important for the Germans. So again, they put the time element here, and then the last thing is in the sentence. Now here it's tennis, and in this sentence, tennis is the direct object, but there's not always a direct object in our sentence. So I'm going to allow you, or you're going to allow me to use a word, it's called the predicate. Now, technically the predicate includes the verb and things like that, but it's basically anything that's left over in the sentence. And if you want to even write, the word leftovers, you could put that in as well. These are your notes that need to make sense for you. Okay, so that's the first model. Subject, verb, time element, and any leftovers. Okay, meine Mutter spielt am Montag Tennis. Okay, and that's correct word order in German. All right, there's also a second model. We also can start with the time element, and we do that in English as well. On Monday, my mom plays tennis. But in German, it's a little different. I start off with am Montag, then I use this inverted word order like I did in my questions. Spielt meine Mutter, okay? The verb comes before the subject, which is odd and a little awkward if I were to say it that way in English. I would never say, on Monday plays my mother tennis, okay? So I'm going to put these notes in here to help me remember what the models are. Now we're just going to reflect a little bit, comparing the English word order to the German. The question is, how is this word order different than in English? Well, in English, we tend to put the time element at the end of the sentence. My mother plays tennis on Monday. But in German, it does not go at the end. It goes right after the verb. So that's one important difference. And then if we decide to start our statement with the time element, we use that inverted word order. Am Montag spielt meine Mutter Tennis. And in English, I don't do that. I don't use inverted word order if I put the time element first. I would say, on Monday, my mother plays tennis. So those are two big differences and things you want to keep in mind when you're using time elements in your sentence. Let's do exercise 1. The Anweisung, or the directions, bild einen Satz, but it asked me to start my sentences with a time expression. Okay, so here's Nummer eins. I have the ich, I have 6:30, or in German I would say 6:30, yeah? Ein Buch, which is a book, and then lesen, which is the verb to read. So in English, I would say, at 6:30, I'm reading a book. Okay, so I'm going to start my sentence. It says here with the time expression. So in this sentence, the time expression is 6:30, and the preposition I use when I'm talking about time in German. In English, I say at 6:30. In German, I say, you got it, and I'm going to write out how I would say it using that time expression with the half hours, and that word I use is halb. Whoops, halb. So I would say halb, and then I think forward, spring ahead, right? The hour coming up is sieben, halb sieben. That's my time element. Now remember, when I'm using model 2, starting with a time element, I use that inverted word order, verb, and then my subject. So in my sentence here, I need to look for my verb. Do you see it? Yep, lesen. Lesen is my verb. Now, I'm not going to write the whole verb down because I need to make it agree with my subject. I'm just going to write down the stem, which is les. Do you see a word in there that could be the subject? The choices left over are ich or ein Buch. So what's going to read? I or a book? Well, the book's not going to read anything. It's got to be I. So if I am the subject, I think of my conjugation chart. E-S-T-T. E goes with the ich form, st goes with du, and the t goes with er's yes. So in this sentence, I'm going to add an e to the end of my verb to make it agree with my subject ich, which is going to come after it because I have to use inverted word order because I have my time element first. 6:30 lese ich, and the leftovers are ein Buch. Make sure you capitalize your word Buch. All nouns in German are capitalized. Okay. So, I'm going to say it, and then I want you to say it. 6:30 lese ich ein Buch. You try it. 6:30 lese ich ein Buch. Sehr gut. Okay, I'd like you to continue down to number 4, and then come back and check your answers. Bis gleich. Wir sind wieder da. Korrigiere deine Antworten. Check your answers. Okay? So, Nummer 2. I have morgen, which means tomorrow. Spielt Barbara, verb, subject, Karten. Tomorrow, Barbara is playing cards. Okay? Morgen spielt Barbara Karten. You say it. Morgen spielt Barbara Karten. Wunderbar. Nummer 3. Start with my time element. 10 Uhr. Nice. And then I have my verb, sehen. Now notice it's ansehen, but an is the prefix. Make sure you got your prefix here at the end of the sentence, just like fernsehen or rüberkommen, okay? 10 Uhr sehen Herr und Frau Tauber ein Video an. They're going to be watching a video at 10 a.m., okay? You try it. 10 Uhr sehen Herr und Frau Tauber ein Video an. All right, and Nummer 4. Am Nachmittag, in the afternoon, then I have inverted word order, kommt Viktor mit Freunden zusammen. Again, zusammenkommen is a separable prefix verb. Zusammen gets thrown at the end of the sentence and is put after, I'll call it the leftovers, in this case, with friends, mit Freunden. Okay? You try to say it. Am Nachmittag kommt Viktor mit Freunden zusammen. Okay, super. All right, Übung 2. The Anweisung, the directions say, begin jeden Satz mit dem Subjekt. Begin the sentence with the subject. So we're going to be using the model number 1, starting with the subject. Okay, so I'm translating here. My father reads a book at 8 o'clock. So my father, okay, think about father is a masculine noun, so it would not get an E, just mine. And the word for father in German is Vater. It'll be a capital V because all nouns in German get capitalized. All right, reads a book. Now, lesen is one of those stem changing verbs. Remember, it goes from an E to an IE. So the stem of lesen is les, L-E-S. But in the third and the second and third singular, they get changed to the stem change, L-I-E-S, which looks like the word's lies, but it's pronounced lease. So that's what I'm going to put in here, lease. And then I need to think what verb ending. I'm going to sing my song. E is first person, ST, second person, T. Since I'm talking about my father, I'm going to put that T there. Okay? Mein Vater liest. I have subject, verb. Okay. Now, if I go back up to my model, in English, the time element goes at the end, but in German, it comes right after the verb. Mein Vater liest, time element, and the leftovers. Okay? So, mein Vater liest, where's the time element? At 8 o'clock. At, when I'm talking about time, is and I have my 8 Uhr. Mein Vater liest 8 Uhr ein Buch. Buch would be like the leftovers. In this case, it's the direct object. It's what's being read. Mein Vater liest 8 Uhr ein Buch. All right. So I'd like you to try 6, 7, and 8. Come back and then check your answers. Let's correct our answers. So Nummer 6. He listens to music after school. Means he. Listens is my verb, and I use the OE combination here because I don't have my German keyboard. Hört, subject verb. Nach der Schule. Nach der Schule means after school, and that's telling me when he's listening to music. So that's my time element. And then the leftovers are Musik. Hört nach der Schule Musik. You try it. Hört nach der Schule Musik. Sehr gut. Nummer 7. Hans likes to dance in the evening. Okay, Hans stays Hans. And tanzt is my verb, subject verb. And the gern is an adverb. And that is going to go before my time element. Okay, Hans tanzt gern. Hans, you could say, likes to dance or gladly dances. And am Abend is the way to say in the evening. So in this sentence, it actually is at the end of the sentence, the time element. But that's because there's no leftovers. He's not going to dance the school or dance the dog. He's just dancing, okay? So Hans tanzt gern am Abend. You try it. Hans tanzt gern am Abend. Sehr gut. Nummer 6 or Nummer 8. I am visiting my grandma immediately. Okay? Ich is the subject and am visiting. A lot of people here want to put the ich bin, but there are no helping verbs in the present tense in German. So it's just ich besuche. That means I am visiting. Am visiting translates to one verb, besuche. Ich besuche gleich. Gleich means immediately or right away. And then come the leftovers. In this case, it's the object of the sentence. Who's being visited? Meine Oma. Make sure you have an E at the end of the word mine. Remember, Oma is a feminine noun, and it'll get that E. Ich besuche gleich meine Oma. You try it. Ich besuche gleich meine Oma. Sehr gut. Okay, so that's about Wortstellung or word order in German. Okay? Bis gleich.